Somewhere out past the edge of your tent, something with teeth and claws is awake while you're not. It can hear your breathing, it can smell the fabric around you, and in the vast majority of cases, across millions of nights spent camping, hiking, and sleeping in the open, absolutely nothing happens. You wake up, you pack your bag, you never know how close anything actually came. That should feel unbelievable. A sleeping human is slow, unaware, and completely unable to defend itself. On paper, that's the easiest target a predator could ask for. So, what is actually happening out there in the dark, in the space between a predator noticing you and a predator deciding not to act? The honest starting point is that nothing happens is not the same as nothing is happening. Researchers who study predator behavior near humans have found that animals frequently detect sleeping people without ever approaching, using cues most people never think about. Scent is one of the biggest. Wildlife researchers tracking large carnivores have documented predators altering their path around a human campsite well before any visual contact occurs, often circling wide rather than approaching directly. Once human scent, campfire smoke, sunscreen, cooking odors becomes detectable on the wind. That detection alone changes the entire encounter because it triggers something ecologist Liana Zanet has spent years documenting. Her research, using hidden speakers played to wild animals like badgers and raccoons, found that these animals fled recordings of an ordinary human voice faster and more completely than recordings of actual predators like wolves and bears. In some trials, the human voice triggered roughly twice the flight response of a genuine predator's growl. That fear doesn't switch off just because you're asleep and silent. Scent alone can carry enough of that same signal to keep a predator at a distance, even without a sound. So one thing that's actually happening most nights is a kind of silent negotiation that never becomes visible to you. A predator picks up your scent. Old, deep instincts flag it as high risk, unpredictable, and historically associated with danger disproportionate to your size. And rather than test that risk directly, in the overwhelming majority of cases, it simply moves elsewhere. But that's not the entire picture, and pretending it is would be dishonest. In regions with dense predator populations and limited alternative prey, attacks on sleeping humans do occur. Documented cases exist of tigers killing sleeping people in parts of India and of lions doing the same in specific regions of Africa, particularly where natural prey has become scarce and desperation changes a predator's usual risk calculations. Researchers studying these specific incidents have found a consistent pattern. The predators involved were often older, injured, or otherwise less able to hunt normal prey successfully, making an unusually risky target, a sleeping human, suddenly worth the gamble that a healthy predator would typically avoid. That detail matters because it reveals something important about what's actually driving predator behavior around sleeping humans. It's not a fixed rule that predators never attack. It's closer to a cost-benefit calculation running constantly in the background, one where humans usually score as too risky to be worth it, but where that calculation can shift under the right and rare conditions. There's also a physical element researchers have pointed to. Predator vision across many species is tuned heavily toward detecting motion. A gazelle standing still in tall grass is far harder for a lion to notice than one sprinting across open ground. A sleeping human, motionless for hours inside a dark tent, doesn't trigger the same visual alarm bells that a walking, gesturing person does during the day. In a strange way, stillness may make you simultaneously more vulnerable and, at the same moment, less visible to the exact detection systems predators rely on most. Put those pieces together, and the picture of what's actually happening while you sleep near a predator becomes less like nothing and more like an ongoing, mostly invisible risk assessment. Scent detected, sound withheld, movement absent, ancient caution weighed against opportunity, tallied instinctively over and over throughout the night. Most of the time, caution wins by a wide margin. Occasionally, under specific pressures, it doesn't. None of this is really about camping gear or which animal happens to be nearby on a given night. It's about something older than either of those things, an inherited memory encoded across thousands of years of encounters most predators alive today never personally experienced but somehow still act on. You benefit from that inheritance every single night you sleep outdoors, whether or not you ever learn exactly what walked past your tent, sniffed the air, and quietly chose to keep walking. Somewhere out past the edge of your tent, something with teeth and claws is awake while you're not. It already knows you're there, and more often than you'll ever realize, that knowledge alone is the entire reason nothing happens next.